and functional medicine to help you heal from the inside out. If you don't know me already, I'm Kim Larson. I'm a certified functional nutrition coach, and I'm also a fast like a girl coach. And I'm founder of Nutrition.com. And here we talk about real health transformation, how food, fasting, and lifestyle can change your hormones, metabolism, and longevity. So, today I want to talk about one of the most confusing things in all of health and nutrition. And that is the constant search for, the best diet. If you type in the phrase into Google or scroll social media for 10 minutes, you're going to find people who sound absolutely certain. One group says low carb is the answer. Another says plant based is the answer. Another says paleo, keto, Mediterranean, carnivore, vegan, fasting, macros, calorie tracking, detoxing, or food combining is the answer. Boy, detoxing is like a $50 billion industry. Everybody sounds so confident about, what diet is best. But everybody has a before, and they all include like a before and after photo with a study and an explanation for why their plan is superior, right? It's easy to take a before and after picture and grab it from anywhere and just use it. And if you're the person sitting in the middle of all of that noise, trying to lose weight, balance your blood sugar, support your hormones, reduce inflammation, maybe improve your digestion, maybe think clearly and actually feel good in your body again, it can make you feel like you're the one doing something wrong. But what if the problem is not that you have failed diets? What if the problem is that we keep trying to force one nutritional ideology onto bodies that are clearly not identical? My body doesn't match your body doesn't match your neighbor's body. And that to me is the real issue. The truth is that there's no single diet that works best for every human body under every condition. If there were, we'd already know it. The science would be settled, the arguments would be over, and nobody would still be debating low fat versus low carb in 2026. The fact that these debates keep coming back is not proof that nutrition science has failed. It is proof that human biology is more individual than diet culture wants to admit. NIH has made precision nutrition a major national research focus, es- explicitly recognizing that people can respond very differently to the same foods and dietary patterns. The American Diabetes Association also emphasizes that nutrition therapy should be individualized rather than treated as one size fits all. That's why I work to try to help people understand. I go through a full analysis of what's going on in your life to understand what is going to work best for you. One of the most useful trials to understand is the Diet Fit study. This was a randomized clinical trial comparing a healthy low fat diet to a healthy low carbohydrate diet over 12 months. And what did it find? No significant difference in weight loss between the two groups overall. So, this is such an important point because it punctuates the fantasy that one of these camps has permanently won the argument. It also found that specific genotype pattern that that tested in at baseline insulin secretion did not tell them which diet works better for whom. So, in other words, there was not some neat, simple rule where you could say this type of person should always go low fat, or this type of person should always go low carb, right? Some people did very well, some did not. The averages did not crown a universal champion. And that does not mean food does not matter. It means humans are more complicated than ideologies want them to believe. And honestly, that should not surprise us. We do not all have the same metabolic health, right? Some people are diabetic, some people are obese, some people have insulin resistance, right? The degree of insulin sensitivity matters. We do not all have the same thyroid function or stress load, maybe sleep debt, gut health, activity level, body composition. How about your age? How about your sex hormone status? How about your medication use or your food culture or medical history, right? A postmenopausal woman with insulin resistance, poor sleep, high stress, and a decade of muscle loss and doing nothing to gain muscle is not metabolically identical to a 28-year-old endurance athlete with excellent insulin sensitivity and a totally different hormonal landscape. Someone with IBS or reflux and bloating may react very differently to a bean heavy plant based approach than someone with great digestion. Someone with type 2 diabetes may do beautifully with carbohydrate restriction in the short term, while someone else crashes on it because they undereat protein, electrolytes, and fiber, or because the diet becomes too restrictive to sustain. Biology changes the context and context changes the response. So, why is ideology such a dangerous substitute for clinical thinking? The research supporting individualized responses is actually very compelling. In the most famous ZV study, researchers showed that people had dramatically different post meal blood sugar responses to the exact same foods. The study used a machine learning approach that incorporated clinical factors, lifestyle, and the gut microbiome. And the authors concluded that personalized diets could reduce elevated postprandial glucose responses. Then the Predict One study expanded this concept, showing substantial variability, not just in like glucose responses, but also triglyceride and insulin responses to meals. And more recently, a 2024 randomized control trial in Nature Medicine compared a personalized dietary program with general dietary advice and found that personalized approach led to some improvements in cardiometabolic health. So the field of precision nutrition is not just theoretical anymore. This is real momentum behind the idea that two people can eat the same meal and have different metabolic outcomes. And at the same time, I want to be really careful not to oversell this because this is what always happens in health. A good idea shows up, then somebody turns it into a marketing claim. We do have evidence that people vary in their responses to food, but we do not yet have a magical test that can tell every human their perfect diet with absolute precision. In fact, one 2024 paper found that individual uh, continuous glucose monitor responses to duplicate meals could be highly variable, even within the same person, which means the science of truly personalized advice is still maturing. So I do not want you to hear this episode and think, okay, great. Now I need an expensive algorithm, a microbiome kit, and a wearable to be healthy. No. The biggest lesson is simpler than that. Your body gives you feedback and you need to listen to that feedback. Your labs give you feedback. Like I do functional nutrition labs and I used to have Hashimoto's and now I don't. Your symptoms give feedback, right? Listen to the symptoms in your body. Do you have good energy levels or are they low? That's feedback. The future of nutrition may be more personalized technology, but the timeless skill is learning to observe your biology honestly. Do I not feel comfortable after a meal? Do I feel like we have a college buddy who celebrated the Super Bowl, and then he had a heart attack and he died. So that's the problem with healthy, if people are always eating the wrong foods, it really can cause such devastating diseases to your body. That's why I keep telling there's someone that I follow on or that I follow that follow we talk on social media, and he's constantly, oh, I got these for sale. They're high sugar drinks or they're highly processed foods. And he's old enough that he's bound to have a heart attack or a stroke or anything within a matter of weeks or months or a year. These highly processed foods, and I see people commenting on it like, oh, yum yum, those are my favorites. Oh my god, do you not hear what I'm saying to you? Please stop eating the garbage. All these highly processed foods, no matter what diet you want to be on to get to a healthy place, it does not include highly processed foods, period. Never, ever have highly processed foods. Now, that doesn't mean I should say never, ever, right? If you have it once in a while, but do not have it weekly, do not have it daily, not at all. Now, even though there is no one perfect diet for everybody, that does not mean anything goes. There are still foundational principles that seem to work across almost every eating pattern when people are genuinely moving toward better eating. Mostly whole, minimally processed food. The second is getting enough protein. I'm actually going to be running a protein challenge. It's going to be a 5-day challenge. It's going to be 19.99 starting April 20th. And I'm going to give you 30 recipes for breakfast, high protein, easy to make meals. Same thing for lunch, another 30 easy to make high protein meals, and the same thing for dinner. 30 highly protein, easily made meals for dinner. And then I'm going to show you like what proteins are, how many proteins, how many grams of protein per those meals or per those dishes or foods. There's a whole host of things that you're going to get for a whole 19.99 and 5 days, 5 hours of my time. This protein challenge actually has 14 days for you to gradually get into it, but I'm going to teach you over the 5 days how to do that and what is your proper amount of protein. So the fourth is choosing a way of eating you can actually live with in real life. So those principles show up again and again because they are not ideological, they're biological. Let's start with the real food piece because I honestly think this is where so much of the diet debate gets derailed. People spend all day arguing over carbs versus fats while barely talking about the fact that modern food environments are dominated by ultra processed products that are engineered to bypass your appetite regulation. I talked about this last time. Kevin Hall's randomized inpatient trial is one of the most important studies in modern nutrition for this reason. Participants were given either an ultra processed diet or an unprocessed diet with whole nutritious foods, matched as closely as possible for presented calories, macronutrients, sugar, sodium, and fiber. And when they ate the ultra processed diet, they spontaneously ate more calories and gained weight. When they ate the unprocessed diet, unprocessed foods, whole nutritious foods, they ate less and lost weight. This is powerful because it tells us the problem is not simply people have no discipline. The food environment matters. A 2024 umbrella review in BMJ found that greater ultra processed food exposure was associated with higher risk of adverse outcomes, especially cardiometabolic outcome, common mental disorders, and mortality. Another 2024 uh, umbrella review similarly found no beneficial health outcomes linked to high ultra processed food intake. Nobody is healthy when you're taking ultra processed food. No one is. It starts early though, right? And it just keeps eating away at your health over time. So if you're eating ultra processed foods in your 20s and then you have a heart attack in your late 50s or 60s, early 60s, it's because of what you've been doing all your life. So before people started fighting over whether sweet potatoes are superior to rice or whether beans are superior to eggs, the bigger question may be this: are we even eating food that still behaves like food in the body? This is also where I think a lot of listeners feel relieved because the conversation gets simpler. You do not have to win a tribal argument to improve your health. You could start by reducing packaged foods that are stripped of their natural structure, loaded with additives, refined starches, flavor enhancers, and the kind of combinations that make fullness signals less reliable. This is science in a box or a can or a bottle. Whether you eventually do best on low carb or Mediterranean, more plant forward or paleo style whole food approach, most people improve when ultra processed food intake goes down. That is the common denominator. It's not sexy enough for social media, but it is incredibly useful in real life. So the next principle is protein, and especially for middle and older adults. I do not think we can talk about diet quality without talking about protein sufficiency. One reason people can look like a diet is not working case is not because their carbs are wrong or their fats are wrong, but because their protein is too low to support muscle maintenance and satiety, recovery, blood sugar control, and metabolic health. The older adult protein literature has been saying for years that healthy older adults generally benefit from at least 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, with higher ranges often appropriate in illness or risk states. That equates to about zero point 0.8 to 1 gram of or gram of protein in not per kilogram but per pound of body weight. That matters because the standard RDA may be enough to avoid frank deficiency, but not necessarily enough to optimize muscle and function as we age. If we are under eating protein, it becomes much harder to maintain lean mass, regulate your appetite, and feel resilient. Protein and healthy fats are like your natural GLP-1. All these people they think they're going to get a fast, um recovery from having GLP-1s, and this is the only way that to do it. Stop eating the pizza, stop eating the chips, stop eating the cookies, stop eating all the baked goods. You know, I was at a bowling event and this one was like, "Is my body like her body?" Yeah, your body is big like her body. You got to stop eating the cookies, the chips, the garbage food. She was like, "Oh, well, I love to go here and I love to eat, this cookie and that cookie, and oh, then I go there and I love that muffin and I love that." It's like it's just sugar and it's just this and there's no gluten in it. I'm like, "Just sugar? Just this? No gluten, but sugar and this? Do you not know why you're so big? Does it not ring a bell in your head about why you are so obese? Why are you eating the donuts? Why are you eating the muffins? Why aren't you eating eggs? Why aren't you eating chicken? Why aren't you eating more protein? Eat some broccoli and some green beans and some spinach and some just a whole bunch of good, whole, nutritious food. This is one of the places where ideology gets people into trouble fast. I've seen women trying to eat clean, light, or plant-based in a way that looks virtuous on paper, but in reality, they are under eating protein, under eating total calories, losing muscle. When you're not eating enough protein, you lose muscle. If you're not lifting weights, you're losing muscle. My God, there's so many people you could follow on social media that have workouts. I have workouts that I've posted. You can follow any one of those workouts. They might be some old videos from 2 years ago, but they still are valid. Follow them. Get out there and start doing some planks, do some push-ups, do some mountain climbers, do whatever works for you. I mean, do some sit-ups, do some leg lifts, do something. Go for a walk. Do something. Get off your butt. Don't sit in front of the TV. If you have time to sit in front of the TV, you have time to work out. No excuses. I'm tired. You're tired because you're not eating enough protein and because you're not working out. That's why you're tired. You'll sleep better if you get enough protein and if you work out, right? Losing muscle, getting colder, more anxious, more tired, and more snack driven because you're not eating enough protein and you're not working out. On the other side, I've seen people go keto and end up eating so little actual protein that they become constipated. They become fatigued and hormonally stressed while telling themselves they're being disciplined. There's a big difference between a diet that sounds healthy and a diet that actually supports your tissue, your muscle tissue, your metabolism, and your nervous system. Let's talk about blood sugar next because this is the bridge between metabolism and how people actually feel day to day. Blood sugar dysregulation is not just about diabetes. It is about energy, your focus, your cravings, your mood, your stress, your hormones, your sleep, and your inflammation. When glucose is swinging wildly all day long, I have the cookie, I have the muffin, I have the pie, I have the this, I have the sandwich, I have this. The body does not interpret that as neutral. There was another woman I was talking to, and she's like, I've got arthritis. I used to have arthritis in my knee and in my neck. And guess what I stopped doing? I stopped eating gluten. I stopped eating sugar. And guess what? I run up and down the stairs all the time now. Boom, 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 boom. No problems. No problems in my neck anymore. The arthritis and inflammation is gone. There's supplements that I take, but I have gotten rid of gluten. That has also helped my Hashimoto's. When you have Hashimoto's, wheat is a problem for it. So stop the bread. Stop the sandwiches, stop the ho-hos, stop the Doritos, stop anything with wheat in it. There is organic wheat if you really want to get, you've got to have your sandwich, but you're going to pay more for it. And it should be fermented bread, not just something you buy off the shelf and oh, it's got wheat in it. Yeah, that's the problem. Wheat is gluten. And in America, it has tons of glyphosate and chemicals all over it. And it's toxic for our bodies. It's causing inflammation. Arthritis means inflammation. That's all arthritis means is inflammation. Get some omega 3s to lower your inflammation. Use some turmeric, some ginger with black pepper to help it absorb. Start working out. It often feels that as instability. The American Diabetes Association emphasizes individualized nutrition strategies to help people reach glucose targets. And the literature supports that lower carbohydrate approaches can offer modest short term benefits for glycemic control and type 2 diabetes, though some of those benefits may diminish over time and they may depend on quality, adherence, and context. This is nuanced, but it does matter. It means low carb is not fake, but is also not automatically forever and is not the only path. There's also a growing body of literature connecting glycemic instability and mental health. I had this with one of my patients and she had, schizophrenia. I said, that's because you have a bad microbiome. She thought I was crazy. I go, there is so much research out there. I'm not crazy. Go research it. If you don't believe me, go research it. You have gut dysbiosis, you got diarrhea all the time, and you have schizophrenia, and you don't think that they're connected? Do your homework, do your research. If you think this isn't true, it is true. Now, it's not 100% for everybody, but if you've got diarrhea and you've got schizophrenia or you've got depression, trust me, there is something going on. A 2024 review on sugar consumption and depression discussed mechanisms including like rapid blood sugar fluctuations or stress response activation and effects on mood stability. The SMILES trial, while not a blood sugar trial specifically, was a landmark randomized controlled trial showing that dietary improvement could help improve depressive symptoms in adults with major depression. We've got a relative that keeps drinking alcohol over and over again. Beer, beer, beer. Solve beer with every situation. Keep drinking beer, and then has depression and doesn't understand why he's so screwed up in the head. It's the alcohol. It's the not moving. It's not working, right? If you don't work or do something with your life, you get depressed. If you don't work out, you get depressed. If you drink alcohol, you get depressed. There's all of these things that are going on. And if you're just eating cheeseburgers and french fries and pizza all the time, and you got that big old gut on you and you're drinking more beer, hello heart attack. Hello stroke. Hello, diabetes. Hello, unhealthy life. Hello, depression. Now, I want to be careful here too, because depression is complex and not every mental health issue is caused by food. But mental health is biological, not psychological. And the brain is an energy dependent organ. If your blood sugar is chaotic, it's all up and down, and your nervous system is inflamed, and your food pattern is built around ultra processed highs and lows, that absolutely can influence how you feel. Even the ultra processed food umbrella review found stronger links with common mental disorder outcomes. So, this idea that nutrition is only about weight is far too small. Nutrition is also about how steady you feel inside your own mind. This is probably a good place for me to say something I wish more people understood. The best diet is not the one that produces the fastest scale drop in 2 weeks. The best diet is the one that improves your biology without making your life smaller. If a diet gives you results, but you're obsessed with food, you're socially isolated, you're cold all the time, you're constipated, you're anxious, you're underslept, you're overcaffeinated, and terrified of one bite of fruit, I would argue that diet is not working nearly as well as people think. A lot of people are calling stress adaptation success. Biology usually tells the truth long before ideology does. Now, let's walk through some of the major diet patterns people argue about because I think this is where we can bring calm to the conversation. Keto diet can absolutely be helpful for some people. It was based for people, it was created for people who have seizures, epilepsy. If somebody has significant insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, or severe blood sugar dysregulation, carbohydrate reduction can lower glycemic burden and improve control, especially in the short term. There are also neurological contexts where ketogenic diets have clinical utility. But keto is not automatically a universal lifestyle prescription. It becomes a problem when people undereat protein, neglect electrolytes, treat processed keto products as health food, or stay in such a restrictive mindset that their stress, their thyroid symptoms, their exercise capacity, or social life all deteriorate. The science supports keto as a tool in some contexts, not as a moral ranking system for humans. Paleo has strengths too. A true paleo style template often pushes people toward real food, fewer additives, better quality protein, and lower exposure to refined grains and sugar. For some people with inflammatory issues, food sensitivities, or a need for a structured whole food reset, that can be incredibly helpful. But paleo can also become unnecessarily rigid when people start fearing every legume, every starch, or every food that was not explicitly approved by a rule book. That is where ideology starts creeping back in. A sweet potato is not evil because a tribe on the internet says it's too starchy. Context matters. An active woman with decent insulin sensitivity and high stress may do better with strategically included carbohydrates than a rigid paleo plan allows. Plant based diets are another area where nuance matters so much. There is good evidence that healthy plant based dietary patterns are associated with lower risk of type 2 diabetes. And in broader analyses, lower cardiovascular and all cause mortality risk. But the key word there is healthy. A healthy plant based diet built around legumes, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, which are from your vegetables, quality fats like avocados, avocado oil, grass-fed butter or ghee. Well, if it's vegetarian, it's coconut oil or avocado oil. And adequate protein planning is not the same thing as a diet built around oat milk desserts, vegan snack bars, seed oil chips, refined flour, and faux meats all day long. A lot of these faux meats have a lot of toxins in them. A 2024 study linked a healthful plant based diet to lower type 2 diabetes risk, while another 2024 study found that an unhealthy plant based pattern was associated with higher cardiovascular risk in people with prediabetes or diabetes. This is such an important distinction because plant based is not automatically synonymous with metabolically supportive. You can eat in a way that is technically plant based and still have unstable blood sugar, inadequate protein, poor iron or B12 status, and terrible satiety. Mediterranean eating patterns probably deserve the reputation they have, but again, we need to understand why. The pre-dined trial showed that Mediterranean diet supplementation with extra virgin olive oil or nuts reduced major cardiovascular events in high risk adults. And that's a big deal. But the Mediterranean patterns is not magic because of one ingredient. It works largely because it tends to emphasize real food, fiber rich plants, quality fats, legumes, fish, herbs, less ultra processed junk, and a pattern people can often sustain. But where people can get confused is when they turn Mediterranean into a vague aesthetic that just means pasta, wine, olive oil, and a little salad. That is not the same thing. A Mediterranean template can be wonderful, but still has to be built in a way that works for the individual's blood sugar, protein needs, appetite, and metabolic context. Someone with insulin resistance may need to do a more protein forward, low glycemic Mediterranean version. Someone very active and may tolerate more starch beautifully. Again, biology first. What I hope you're hearing in all of this is that the best diet question is usually the wrong question. A better question is for whom, under what conditions, with what biology, at what stage of life, for what goal, and with what response. That is a much more intelligent question because best for reversing blood sugar chaos is not necessarily best for supporting athletic performance, and best for healing gut is not always best for a woman in menopause trying to preserve muscle while sleeping through the night. Nutrition should be adaptive. It should be contextual. It should not be an identity badge. And that bridges me to something I care about deeply, which is the moralization of food. One reason so many people get stuck is because diet ideology is not just tell them what to eat. It tells them that what kind of person they are if they eat it. If you're low carb, you're disciplined. If you're plant based, you're virtuous. If you're all organic, you're enlightened. If you're counting macros, you are serious. If you eat differently, however, you are less evolved, less informed, or less committed. This is such a dangerous framework because it can disconnects people from feedback. They stop asking, how do I actually feel on this? And start asking, am I being good enough at this? But your metabolism does not care about your ideology. Your hormones do not care about your identity. Your digestion does not care what tribe you joined online. Biology is not impressed by certainty. Biology responds to inputs. I see this all the time in midlife women that come to my practice. They come in thinking the answer has to be more restriction, more control, more cutting, less carbs, less fat, less food, less flexibility. But often what they need is not more ideology. They need better biology support. They need more protein. They need more muscle stimulus. They need more stable meals. They need to stop grazing on ultra processed convenience foods that keep them hungry. This is why I started larsnutrition.com, because I help people with proper nutrition. There's thousands of recipes on my website. They're all free. There's thousands of, or not thousands, but hundreds of blogs, healthy insights. You can search for anything that you want. You want pizza? There's healthy options. Chicken base, with protein. You want a brownie? There's a healthy brownie on there. And they're delicious. I make them all the time. I love my desserts just as anybody else. But guess what? I eat them more healthy. They're not highly processed junk. I make it myself so I know exactly what's in it. Right? So you need stress support. You need sleep. You may need less alcohol. I stopped alcohol altogether because I started to recognize what it was doing to my body. I didn't sleep well. I didn't feel well after I drank it. And I want my brain to be healthy. I want my organs to be healthy. My father died at 54 from a heart attack. I'm 57 going on 58, and I do not want to get a heart attack. I don't want to have a stroke. I don't want to have arthritis. I don't want to have diabetes. I don't want to have any of these things. I work to stay healthy and I enjoy being healthy. Look at my skin. My skin is healthy because I eat right. I take care of my health. I didn't always take care of my health. Trust me, I love pizza. And I didn't know what pizza was doing to me. I didn't know that the cookies I was making out of, from the cookie dough out of a plastic tub was not good for me. I was never a soda drinker, but I can't believe that, I it something changed and shifted in me that said, I need to take better care of my body. When I had high blood pressure, high triglycerides, pre-diabetes, arthritis, I'm like, something's going wrong here and I need to address this. And when I figured that out, I realized that I have to make the change myself. I am postmenopause and I cannot treat my body like I did when I was in my 20s. So, people might need better mineral balance. They may need to stop treating caffeine as breakfast because it's not. And you may need a diet that actually matches the postmenopausal body or the post 50s body rather than the body that you had at 28. None of that is flashy, but that is where real progress lives. And this is exactly why I built the work I do through larsonnutrition.com because so many people do not need another food philosophy. They need help interpreting their own biology. They need someone to look at the whole picture and say, okay, here is where your body seems to be telling us. Here is how we calm the blood sugar, support the hormones, protect your muscle, improve your digestion, and make this sustainable in real life. This is very different from handling somebody a trendy template and hoping their body cooperates. The body is always talking. Most people have just never been taught how to listen. I also think this topic connects to a bigger message about total biological load. What you eat matters enormously, but it is not the only input your body receives. Sleep, stress, movement, light exposure, alcohol, medications, meal timing, even product exposure all contribute to the environment your cells are living in. I had to have a hysterectomy because of a cyst the size of a baseball because of all the toxins that I had in my home, all the cleaning supplies, all the air freshener plugins. Boy, my house smelled wonderful, but man, was it toxic. And that is one of the reasons I care so much about clean living beyond food. At larsonbotanicals.com, my goal is not perfectionism or fear. It is reducing unnecessary chemical burden and helping people choose ingredients that feel good about putting on their skin and bringing into their homes. When you start to think about biologically instead of ideologically, you realize that healing is not about chasing purity. It is about reducing friction. It is about creating an internal and external environment that supports the body instead of constantly burdening it. So, how do you actually know if your current diet is working for you? I think this is where we need to return to simple but powerful markers. Do you have stable energy between meals? Or are you living on caffeine and white knuckling until the next snack? Are your cravings quieter or are you thinking about food all day? Is your digestion calm or are you bloated, refluxy, constipated, or uncomfortable after most meals? Is your mood steadier? Is your sleep improving? Are your hands and feet warmer? Is your body composition improving in a meaningful way? Do your labs show better fasting glucose or triglycerides or insulin or iron status, thyroid markers, B12, vitamin D? You do not need perfect metrics to assess a diet. What you need is honest observation. If a diet looks good on paper but leaves you exhausted, reactive, inflamed, and preoccupied with food, it is giving you important information. And there's another piece of honesty here that matters. Sometimes the diet works in one season and stops working in another. Like I used to be able to do, what is it? Eating, fatty foods that are less than 20 grams of carbohydrates. That doesn't work for me anymore. I can't eat bacon all day long. It just doesn't work for me. Bacon and burgers and, ugh. I eat whole nutritious foods and I get nice avocado for healthy fats. I eat whole eggs. for the nutrients in it. So it's not failure when, a diet doesn't work for you. It's adaptation. The diet that helped you restore metabolic flexibility may not be the diet that best supports intense strength training later. And the plan that worked in your 30s may not work the same way after menopause. The low carb reset that stabilized your blood sugar may need to evolve once you have better insulin sensitivity and want more exercise capacity or sleep support. The elimination phase that calmed your gut may not need to last forever. Health is dynamic. The smartest thing you can do is stop worshiping methods and start tracking outcomes. This is why I think the real nutrition skill of the future is not memorizing food lists. It is building biological literacy. Can you eat in a way that helps you interpret your appetite, your fullness, your energy, your mood, your recovery, your digestion? What about your labs? Your body composition with more clarity? Can you become the kind of person who notices patterns without panicking? Can you experiment without turning every experiment into an identity? Can you say, this works for me right now, instead of this is the only right way for every human? That is so much more mature and powerful approach to health when you can say, this is what works for me right now. And to me, that is where the science is pointing us. NIH is investing in precision nutrition because researchers recognize that variability is real. Large trials show that there is no universal low fat or low carb winner. Studies on glycemic response show that identical foods can land differently in different bodies. Personalized nutrition trials are starting to show promise. Ultra processed foods research keeps pointing to a shared modern problem that cuts across diet camps. Healthy plant based patterns can help, especially when they are truly whole food based. Mediterranean patterns can help, especially when they are not distorted into a high carb free for all. Low carb strategies can help, especially when blood sugar is the problem and the plan is done well. So there's plenty of science, but the real message is not pick a camp. The message is match the intervention to your biology. So if you are listening today and you have felt confused, discouraged, or even ashamed because one diet after another has not delivered the promise you were sold, I want to say this clearly. That does not mean you are broken. You may just mean it may just mean that your body has been giving you data that nobody taught you how to read. Maybe you do better with more protein and fewer processed carbs. Maybe you need a more Mediterranean framework with better glucose control. Maybe you need to stop trying to survive on salad and coffee. Maybe you need to rebuild muscle before your metabolism feels safe again. Maybe your gut needs a different fiber strategy, or your sleep and stress are distorting everything. The answer is not to become more ideological. The answer is to become more observant about your body and how your body responds to what you're consuming. Biology is first, always. So that's the takeaway here. It's not because ideology is bad in itself, but because ideology becomes dangerous when it drowns out feedback. The best diet is not the loudest one on the internet, the one with the most rules, or the one that gives you a temporary sense of certainty. The best diet is the one that supports your metabolism, your nervous system, your labs, your energy, your hormones, your digestion, your goals, and your actual life. It is the one that helps you feel more steady, more nourished, and more capable, less obsessed. It is the one you can live in without fighting your body every day. That is why clarity, that is where clarity lives in. That's why I'm going to start this 5-day protein challenge. So many people do not get enough protein. And I guarantee you it will change your life. If you're eating a lot of carbohydrates today, if you're eating a lot of highly processed foods, I'm going to teach you how you can get more protein with quick, easy meals that you can make. You plan ahead. I'm going to walk you through all of this. I'm going to give you lots of information that you can use. Pick and choose what you want from it. Take all of it if you need all of it, or just pick and choose what you want. It's only $19.99. It's a 5-day plan that I will go through. It's actually a 14-day protein challenge that I'm going to walk through over 5 days over Zoom, 1 hour a day. I'll send links. You sign up for it. It's going to start April 20th, and it's going to change your life. Not in a nutritional tribalism, not in a moral superiority way, but in paying attention to your body and using science wisely and respecting context and honoring the fact that your body is not a debate stage. It is a living system. And the more you learn to listen to your body, the less impressed you'll become by rigid nutrition dogma. So thank you for being here with me today on the Larson Health Podcast. This is one of those conversations I think we need to keep having, because the more noise there is in nutrition, the more important it becomes to come back to fundamentals and to biology. You can listen to the Larson Health Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, and just about anywhere you enjoy your favorite podcasts. You can also watch full episodes on YouTube and catch snippets on social media like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, where I share behind the scenes moments, recipes, and extra insights from my coaching practice. And if you're ready to take your health to the next level, visit larsonnutrition.com and larsonbotanicals.com to learn more about my personalized programs, hormone supportive meal plans, and products and one-on-one functional nutrition coaching. And if this episode helped you, please share it with a friend, subscribe, and I'll see you next week